Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Family Vitality Hub with Aderonke. And today we are at Hamdala Autism Foundation. On the 2nd of April every year is allocated to World Autism Awareness Day. And so this year, we would be spending this day talking to the founder of Hamdala Autism Foundation in person of Madam Shelila. Madam Shelila, hello, Ma.
Hello, Adeoke. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's really nice to be here. Please introduce yourself and tell us how you got here and how long this place has been.
Okay. I'm Shelila Ali Rage, a mother of four, two of which are on the spectrum.
Okay.
So, the founder of Hamdala Autism Foundation, just as said earlier. How we got here, obviously, I'm a parent of two boys on the spectrum. So, we can at least get the clue from there that autism found me. And then I started this foundation. I started this foundation in 2023, August, with a pilot project, Hamdala Autism Foundation, in order to empower adults and adolescents
Okay.
in skill acquisition programs so they can earn for themselves in
Okay.
future.
Okay. That's fantastic. When I saw that you were a skill acquisition center, that really piqued my interest because the truth is, for every parent who has children that are autistic, they worry about the future of the kids. Will this child be able to go to school? What skills will this child be able to acquire? What exactly will this child become? So I want to acknowledge the fact that you picked a very, very important aspect of autism, and I know you will do so good. Can you just give us an overview of what autism is? Because I see that before anything, it now looks like every child is autistic. You go online and then you see, they say if the child is twitching like this, she's on the spectrum. Oh, is your child stimming? She's on the spectrum. Is she doing some repeated, it's
Autism
just
is in vogue.
autism is in vogue.
Autism is a neurodevelopmental condition or disorder, as they say. It's a neurodevelopmental condition that affects communication,
Okay.
social interaction, and behavior.
Okay.
Yes. In the form of communication, for example, sometimes ability to speak,
Okay.
okay, and sometimes in form of communication, if they are able to speak but they don't get they don't understand certain complex, should I say, sentences, things like idioms.
Okay.
Idioms and communication, also body language. When you're talking,
Okay.
autistics would some autistics will find it difficult to pick. Then, in form of social interaction, for example, initiating conversation,
Okay.
initiating greetings, understanding certain social cues, reading the room. We're having an interview now. An autistic will just walk in and just barge into it and ask you a question and walk out, and they don't know they've done anything wrong.
Okay.
I've seen it happen severally. Then I said communication and behavioral also. It shows more in behavior. All they are imputing, they kind of output it in their behavior. So it also comes with certain stereotypical behaviors.
Okay.
There are different types depending on what the particular autistic person has.
Okay, that's why you said something about it being a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum. So it's a wide range.
You see one person with autism, you have seen one person with autism.
Okay.
That is it.
Okay. Like you mentioned, you have two children on the spectrum.
Yes.
But you have other children who are not on the spectrum. So do you think there was any particular thing you did during pregnancy? Because why this comes to mind is I recall that I've once had someone whose child wasn't developing very well, and she kept on tracing back. Or is it because I did this while I was pregnant? Or is it because I did this? So I think that every step of the way, whenever she went back to the hospital and then they put her child on, this syndrome suspected, she starts to blame herself. So what do you think from your own experience?
About mothers blaming?
Yes.
It is quite common.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Immediately you find out about autism. Oh, my children have autism. Majority of the mothers I've spoken to, the first thing that comes to their head is, what did I do wrong? What went wrong? So it's just exactly is a classic example of your friend. They are kind of, I think it's just the human nature. We want to find a reason for
Okay.
something, especially when you are faced with a condition that we don't know if it has a cure. We don't know where the cause, it doesn't have a particular cause,
Okay.
there's still debates, it's still ongoing.
Okay.
And then you tend to want to look for, when you find a reason for it, it's maybe some people see it as a sort of closure,
Okay.
or it's just something to hold on to. I
Okay.
don't know the psychology behind that,
Okay.
but I know it's very common with mothers. They'll tell you, "Oh, what have I done wrong?" But even me, I did it too. That's the first thing. Okay, what did I do wrong? What did I eat wrong? What went wrong in the pregnancy? Okay, that bridge I climbed that day, was I supposed to climb?
Mm.
This work I did that day, and I didn't do exercise. You find different reasons to want to blame yourself. That is where our social workers and people around, health workers, need to now come in
Okay.
and try and talk to the mothers and
Okay.
let them know it's not their fault. Initially, we're discussing before uh, the interview started. I told you about Temple Grandin.
Yes.
When the researchers, that was years ago, I think 1970, years ago, when the researches on autism just started and all that, in the 1940s, there was a point in this autism story that doctors themselves were telling mothers that it was their fault.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can imagine for doctors to have said that then. What about now? Although now things are better, there's a lot of awareness. People are reading, they have researched, they've discovered a lot of things, medicine now, things keep changing as they keep
Yes.
discovering it. Or is it a social factor? Is it a hereditary factor? Is it a genetic? Is it this? Is it environmental?
Okay.
You know? So
So based
even
on
then,
current research now, the mother doesn't have a role to play in the outcome of the child being
no.
autistic or not.
Then they say maybe the mother does not actually hold the child. The mother is not so close to the child. She doesn't comfort the child. That was what they were busy saying then. That
Okay.
was the reason. But now they've discounted everything years ago. Years ago. Maybe before I was born. So a mother has no fault whatsoever in it. Autism, we do not know the exact cause. Is it
Mm.
genetic? Is it environmental? Is it hereditary? We do not know.
You were trying to say that you had observed from your kids earlier on by
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are the most common symptoms?
Of autism, right?
Yes, that you can pick early, and how soon can you pick that
Can you
this child
pick?
might be on the spectrum?
Okay. Usually I want to say by age 2, one should be
Okay.
able to pick. Although with researches going on and more awareness and more knowledge going on, some people, some experts have been able to. They said they can actually tell if a child is autistic from age 6 months. Yes,
Okay.
even 18 months, but not diagnosis. They can assess and just tell that this child is likely to
To
be
be
on the
on the
spectrum.
spectrum.
Yes,
Okay.
although diagnosis comes later.
Okay.
So how early, it depends. Like the average in Nigeria, how early, I was reading some time back, they say average in Nigeria is around 9 years.
Oh
That's the
wow.
average. They'll bring different years, age 4, age
Mm-hmm,
12, and
mm-hmm.
then the average 9.
Yes.
Then average in the US, which is more advanced, and other, it's about, I think, 4 point something years.
Okay.
So how early do you know? I want to believe from age 2.
Okay, because that was what happened in
Yes.
your own
In my
case. You
own
have a set of
case,
twins, and what did you notice that was strange?
yes. Now, symptoms. What I noticed, the first thing we all notice, communication issues. My own twins were not communicating verbally. We did auditory tests. They could hear. They watch nursery rhymes, and they smile and laugh. So they could hear. And we even went for an auditory test. But they don't talk. And not just communication when it comes to verbal. Other kinds of communication. I told you earlier on, then they are in a world of their own. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
That's the first thing you notice. Communication. Then they seem to be in a box, in a world of their own, like nobody else exists. They play alone. They play with items differently. A neurotypical kid will carry a car and do zoom, 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 zoom. An autistic kid will just probably focus on only the tire. They play with it differently. Then there's this eye contact. No eye contact. Then stereotypical behavior. My children were flapping their hands. jumping, flapping their hands. That's even common in autism. Moving around the circle, and basically it's, yeah.
So if a mother pays attention or if parents pay attention where they can pick these things, and then you talked about something about early intervention. So at
Yes.
that point, that was when you actually showed up
Yes.
at the hospital to say, "Oh, I noticed that my children are
Exactly.
different." And then what does early intervention help to achieve really?
Oh, a lot.
Like
Just like in the case of cancer, when they say you
early
detect
detection.
it, early
Yes.
detection,
Yes.
you know how much it can save
Mm-hmm.
someone's life. And if
Yes.
just the same
Just the
with early
same time.
intervention.
Okay.
Early intervention will take a child from non-verbal to verbal.
Okay. But
Yes.
I've heard of kids who have started speech therapy, done a lot of interventions, and they're still not talking, even 1 year, 2 years after.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. When it comes to therapy, we cannot tell.
Okay.
We just try our best, but there's always an improvement.
Okay.
If the child is not talking, check that child. There's probably a tiny bitty improvement that you did not notice on other forms of communication,
Okay.
especially if the therapy is done well. That is why before we do therapy, we assess. For example, speech, a pathologist needs to assess every part of the speech,
Mm-hmm.
the articulators and everything. You need to do the assessment and then create a particular program specific to that child needs based from the assessment.
Okay. So
if it's done well, that child
Would.
might or would. The percentage, the possibility that the child will talk is high.
Okay.
Except there are some major issues with the articulators.
Okay. So what parents should really look out for is progress.
Yes, progress. Thank you.
Yes. Just the child might not be saying 20 words like you wanted before, but now they can now say 1 word or 2 words compared to before.
Or a sound.
A
child that is not looking at your eyes, for example, is not having contact. We calculate the minutes because we measure everything we do.
Okay.
We calculate how many seconds does this child maintain eye contact. For example, if I start speech or something and this child is maintaining eye contact, let's say when I assess the child, he could not maintain more than 1 second, And then after a month or 2 months of training, this child is doing 5 seconds. That's an improvement. So watch out for the improvement. And even speech, this child was just blabbing anything or could not even articulate anything. And maybe after sometimes maybe even a year or months, this child is saying ba, using the vocals is an improvement. So let's don't be in a rush.
Okay.
Yes, we all want to get there. We all want to get to the point where the child will talk. The child will talk, but it's a gradual process.
Okay.
And how far would the speech be? We do not know.
Okay. I get that.
Early intervention definitely would assist that child to get to wherever the highest potentials, let me put it that way, earlier than if it was done late.
Okay, since your facility is a training center, so how many children do you have currently that you are training?
Okay, our facility here is a vocational skill acquisition center for adults and adolescents. So currently we have 7.
Okay.
Yes. Although when we did our pilot project, what was the figure then? It was about 70 people registered.
70
yes, it was free.
people.
70 people, 70 families. It came with 70. They registered. I think about maybe 50 or so. I don't really have the statistics. Turned up for the free assessment. And then at the end, we were able to just pick like 15.
Okay.
Yes, that was all we could handle. Then we didn't have the other building. We had only downstairs.
Okay.
But now we have 7. We are not working at our full capacity. Our full capacity is about 32.
Oh,
yes.
So that means you can take more.
We can take more people. Yes.
Okay. And this training is free?
It's like a social enterprise model. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
So some are subsidized and some are 100% on scholarship.
Okay.
So we have out of the 7 students we have, the individuals we have, I think 3 are the only paying ones, right? 3.
Okay.
Yes, 4 on scholarship.
Oh, that's good.
It's an NGO. Okay. So our wish is to have a lot of scholarship students here. But then, funding and all that, we have to manage it.
Is there an age that you enroll your children from? What age?
Yes, we accept from age 12.
Age 12?
From age 12, yes.
Is there a cutoff age or?
You mean
12 and above?
12 to 40.
12 to 40?
Yes. 12 to 40.
40. Oh, that's nice. So
Yeah.
have you had any people that have graduated from these trainings?
Um, we are not yet 2 years old.
Yes, you
Yes, we
mentioned.
started 2023 August.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, we do not have graduates yet.
Okay.
We do not have graduates, but we have students that are really showing potentials. Because while we did the pilot project, for example, even after the pilot project, what we trained them in, for example, the beads, we're able to sell a lot of the things they made, the beads, the stoning, you know. But do they have the ability to graduate and do something for themselves? Yes, they do. We have seen cases like that a lot. We are just starting. Autism is a gradual process. It might take a longer period of time,
Okay.
not the normal 1 year skill acquisition program of neurotypicals.
Okay.
Yes, neurodivergent in case of autism and others might take longer
Longer. Okay.
periods. So we are not in a rush, but we believe and we are certain that in future we would have graduates. We have this internship program we want to also start.
Okay.
We have a student here, he stopped coming. So we're trying to get him back on scholarship now.
Okay.
He stopped coming and we are really trying to get him back by all means because he was getting close to the internship.
Okay.
He was supposed to go and start working with certain hotels.
Okay.
He's learning hotel management and cleaning. He started few months, he was already showing prospects in that. And we've also seen people, for example, my mentor, person I learned from, Mrs. Akonde. I like to call her Dr. Akonde because she's as good as one. Mrs. Akonde, she's been able to train certain people. I know I've met MM. I've met MM. She trained MM for years in tailoring.
Okay.
And she even got an internship for MM in rough and tumble.
Oh.
Yes, she got internship for MM.
That's inspiring.
Very inspiring. And the last EEV we did, she organizes a program, Empowering Every Voices. MM was there and she was sewing on the spot with her caregiver, definitely. They always work with her. She was sewing on the spot. She did lovely gowns, lovely, lovely dresses there and there. She's been taught how to make skirts, different. There is a method of teaching them. So
Okay.
MM has graduated to that point. And there are many other people I've also met. When I went to Rutgers Center for Adults and Adolescents in New Jersey then,
Okay.
I spoke to the head then, Christopher. He has a beautiful, wonderful center there in Rutgers University. I met, in fact, I met amazing autistics, people with multiple masters.
Wow.
Yes, I met someone that came in and she was flapping, doing all this behavior and all that. And I was like wondering, such an adult still flapping and all that. And then when she opened her mouth and started speaking, like, God is wonderful.
She was very coherent, intellectual.
Oh my God. She's just coming from Washington, D.C. How is your rights? What's your government funding? She started talking. I'm like, really? So our children have prospects. And mind you, Mrs. Akonde's son just finished with a PhD last year.
Oh, wow.
Yes, he finished with a PhD. PhD.
Oh.
We're all elated. Like, we told her that, no, you are like the bar. You're teaching us to move. Don't give up. We've seen severally. I told you about Temple Grandin. He told them she couldn't do anything. She could not communicate. She would never talk. She would be institutionalized forever. And she ended up being a revolutionary farmer in the US with PhD and several masters, writing several books, granting several interviews. I also have someone else, Marshall Hintz. Marshall Hintz, I read her book. She talked about her son, Ryan. The same autism and all that. They said he'll be institutionalized. He might never talk. He might never do this. I think he started talking age 7 or age 8 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And he works with NASA. Ryan works with NASA as a project manager. So you can imagine an autistic that have social issues. Social communication is a major issue when it comes to social interaction. Now working as a project manager in NASA. So we've seen a lot of cases here in Nigeria and abroad.
Fantastic. Okay.
So yes, they can graduate, they can earn a living. And one thing with autistic that I didn't tell you earlier is that once they are good at a particular thing, they become very good at it. Once you can just master or figure out what they are good at, when they start handling that thing, a neurotypical will not even understand how they are doing it. My son does puzzles. You'll see him on your way out.
Okay.
He does puzzles. All his therapists, even me, his mother, the therapist will tell me, Madam, I can't do what this boy is doing. And he sits down, he does it without pictures.
How old is he again?
He's 11, going
11.
to be 12.
Okay.
Yes. Without pictures, he uses the shape. I don't know, there's a way he just does it that we don't understand, but he shall do the puzzle and the puzzle will be there. So once they are good at something, they are very good at it. Better, I'm sorry, neurotypicals, I'm neurotypical too. Better than the neurotypical. That's why people even say Messi, this footballer, Messi. Is that the pronunciation?
Yes,
they say he's autistic. So people wonder that, maybe it's that autism that actually, they say Messi is autistic.
Does it show any?
I don't know if it's
symptoms?
a grapevine or a proper information, but I see it all over social media.
Okay.
Messi is autistic and all that. I don't know his symptoms. I've not read Messi's stories.
Okay.
But people have been saying it that, okay, maybe it is actually the autism that makes him very good at football.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. I think this really sounds very hopeful.
Yes.
Especially for parents that their children are just being diagnosed. Because I can tell you, every other week, we know that in our teaching hospitals, some children just keep being diagnosed as
it's increasing.
being on the spectrum. So I'm happy that there is hope, and then your children can be whatever you want them to become.
Yes, early intervention.
Early intervention.
Why not teach the society also to learn about them? And, the society should also fit into their box. It's like a holistic thing. We're taking care of the parents and the siblings so they can fill the cup of this autistic. And we get to that place we want to get to, which is empowerment, self-reliance.